welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blender HD. If you want to follow me on Twitter, and it's Friday, August 26th, and it's not Fighting Friday. We're not fighting on Fridays, of course, because we don't have an MMA slate. The UFC is off this weekend, so a little less work for me. So no ground and pound podcast, but we do have all the MMA stuff in our premium. If you want to get the combo premium, when UFC, we got a UFC card next week. I mean, most weeks is a UFC card, and you get all the other sports with it. You get the NFL, you get the NBA, you get the MLB, you get access to all the tools, the resources, the content, the premium shows, our premium Discord. Right? Go get in our premium Discord. I'm doing later today a coaching session. Later tonight for premium members. So if you join our Discord and my Blender's Game Theory channel, it's a premium channel for premium members only. I'll be doing I answer anything you want in there. So we talk the strategy, anything not related specifically to a slate. Math, statistics, probability, anything you want in there. And I also like 2, 3, maybe 4, sometimes 4 times a month do these little group coaching sessions. You get to come on Zoom, right? And get on audio, get on video, share your screen, ask whatever you want, right? Walk through some things, whatever it is. It's not recorded, right? Kind of private. So you can air your dirty laundry if you want. You can show your real results. And I take care of you. And a lot of people get good stuff out of that. A little bit more hand holding than on this show, where it's just dealing with the YouTube chat. I see you guys. Wataz, Suki Singh, David Buchanan, Mr. Richard. Mr. Richard says, "But last time on here before you go back to work on Monday." Why are you going back to work, Mr. Richard? Why are you going back to work? I mean, why don't you watch it at work? You can listen to it at work. Put in your little earbuds, listen to it at work. 11 o'clock Eastern on weekdays. I don't know what he does for a living. I don't know. Maybe he's a doctor, right? Maybe he's an open heart surgeon. Maybe you shouldn't be listening to the show if you're taking care of that or something like that, right? You're an astronaut or something. I don't know. Maybe it could be a cool job like that. Probably isn't. Probably just works in an office somewhere and he teaches. That's what he says in the chat. Okay, so you can't really do that while you can't really teach while listening. You can teach my stuff. You can teach my stuff if you want. You can teach the theory of daily fantasy sports. It's a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass you can pick up at theoryofdfs.com. How to think like a professional DFS player, right? This will be the last day. I mean, it's still available, obviously. What I'm calling the fundamentals masterclass. Go pick that up now before the advanced course comes out. Advanced course should come out on Monday. If not on Monday, then Tuesday, right? It's going to be either Monday or Tuesday. So that will be available. It builds upon all the concepts in this first course of how to think like a professional DFS player. And this course is more, the advanced course is more how to apply those concepts. So a little bit more detail, a little bit more refinement, right? Maybe it's not as long, right? Because it doesn't need to be. Right, this is 15 hours. This starts from the point that you barely have played daily fantasy sports. You're familiar, right? You kind of fooled around in Draftkings or Fanduel in the apps. You kind of built some lineups here and there, and it's like, okay, well, haven't played for that long. And the advanced course assumes that you play regularly. So if you're watching this show, right, that the advanced course is it's geared more to you. If you've rarely ever played daily fantasy sports, or not, you haven't even gotten to like almost a near break even level, right? Then this first course, go through the basics first, right? The basic game theory concepts before then trying to go, well, I'm just going to try to apply this stuff without actually even really even understanding most of this stuff. So in the advanced course, that'll come out on Monday. We'll also include seven technically, even though the simple lineup optimizer could be used for any sport, so there'll be different versions of it. So you'll get some Excel tools if you have Microsoft Excel or a Microsoft 365 subscription. You'll get some easy efficiency tools, some stuff that you could probably get done in Lineup HQ or kind of do yourself manually. But you want to speed up the work, you want to speed it up. you might as well use Excel. If you don't have Excel, well, I guess you can convert these files to like numbers or Google Sheets. You'll have to fix some things, I think. I don't think it's directly convertible, but you could try. If you have a computer experience, you could do so. So at this time, we don't have the availability for like a numbers or a Google Sheets. I don't even know if Google Sheets can do some of the things that we're doing in Excel. But if you can, feel free to go. It's open. These are Excel documents. They're open for you to edit and do whatever you want with. If you're good at Excel and you go, oh, okay, I like this, but I want to display it differently, or I want to add my own functionalities to it, go right ahead. Of course, we're not gonna support that, right? We're not gonna tag like, oh, you screw it up, but don't come to us crying when something gets screwed up. Just re-download the original file again from the course, and then you get it for its original intended use. And I showed some of those Excel tools over the past couple of days this week, like the portfolio trimmer and the correlation matrix, and even just like simple stuff is just putting a contest CSV and just seeing the exposures of sharp players, right, and inspecting other people's lineups, like just simply being able to do that, or just tracking your bankroll. I mean, some people don't use RotoTracker, right? Which is a service and a website for importing your CSVs and tracking your play, segmenting with tons of different variables, different types of contests. You have all the fancy charts and the graphs, but after a certain amount of CSV entries, you got to pay for it. Okay, which I don't mind because this is kind of what I do for a living, so it's a business expense. But if you want to be able to still have 50,000 rows, 100,000 rows, and track your bankroll, whatever, you'll be able to do that. Download your entry history CSV, and then just plug it in, and it'll show you all of that type of basic information, little graphs or anything like that. So to see how well you're doing in double ups versus GPPs, different sports, things like that, not advanced stuff, but if you're not tracking your play, then how do you know how do you know you're doing well in general? And also, how do you know, oh, I don't realize I've been entering these types of contests and my ROI is so much better in these types of contests. So maybe I should be playing more of those types of contests. Like sometimes you're not aware of these things. Mr. Richards says he teaches special ed, so highly unlikely to teach this to third graders. Why not teach it to third graders? Teach the theory of daily fantasy sports to third graders. Have them think like professionals, right? I don't know. They can't even legally play, right? So what does it matter, right? Right? What are they? 8, 9 years old? 9 years old? They could play by proxy. Get their moms and dads to sign up for Draftkings accounts, right? And then play 150 lineups. There you go. Teach them how to do that, Mr. Richard. Teach them how to do that. So with no Fighting Friday, there's no MMA or anything like that. I'm open to anything. I said yesterday, there's like a mailbag edition. So whatever you want to talk about in the YouTube chat, obviously give me those thumbs first, right? Hit that thumbs up button, like and subscribe, right? Hit that notification bell, right? We'll have Grinders live later today on the channel, going over the MLB slate, crunch time following that. We got tons of NFL stuff coming up. Yeah, 2 weeks from now, a week and a half from now, a week and 2 days from now, it's going to be NFL Central. There'll be multiple shows a day. There'll be content coming out, premium stuff. It'll be NFL like there's no tomorrow. By week 6, we'll just be even sick about talking about the NFL because it's just going to be NFL. But hey, that's what that's say. That's the most popular. It's the most popular daily fantasy sport, and it's the one with the weakest fields, right? Because it's the most popular. So I don't mind. When NFL season comes around, it's money time. It's money time. Just hopefully you realize that money in like an 18-week stretch or something, right? You don't got that many slates, right? You play an entire NFL season, even if you don't even include like the showdowns and stuff like that. You got it's like playing MLB for 3 weeks. Like I hope I bink in 3 weeks. Come on. Especially the first couple of weeks, you play some cash games. Sometimes you find some awful lineups. The weakness of the fields in NFL are significant compared to the other sports. It's like night and day. But for cash games, typically it's only like maybe the first month, 6 weeks. By the time you get to the end of the season, typically the head-to-head lobby is just all sharper players anyway. So you got to get in when the money is good. So dip your feet in. So I don't mind playing cash games early in the NFL season. I don't even see the thing about DFS is that I play DFS as a game. Yes, I enjoy sports. Yes, I've always enjoyed sports. When I was younger, when I was a teenager, I followed sports religiously, all sports, NFL, MLB, NHL. Right, I followed hockey, I followed soccer, I followed whatever. Major League Lacrosse or something. I don't know. Whatever was on Sports Center, whatever was on ESPN, follow all the time. I played in season-long fantasy leagues in all the sports, right? I played rotisserie baseball. I played fantasy basketball. I played fantasy hockey, right? Obviously, fantasy football, tons of leagues, auction leagues, draft leagues, whatever, right? So it's not like I'm not a sports fan or anything like that. But now, now at 43 years old, like I view this more as a game, right? I will watch MMA. MMA I've enjoyed for the past 2 years. So I do watch MMA. And soccer I'll always watch. So I never mind on a Saturday morning putting on a soccer game. I never mind Sunday morning. Like I could watch soccer. I watch Champions League soccer. I don't need to make lineups. I don't need to bet on the games or anything. I could always watch soccer. Everything else is kind of like I get bored with. Like baseball, who's going to watch baseball? Football games, standalone football games, those Mondays and Thursdays and Sunday nights. Brutal. Red zone, I could deal with. Red zone, it's like, okay, I care about my players, the players that are in my lineups. And then, ding, 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 ding. Let's actually see the stuff that's going on. And then basketball makes me fall asleep, right? Because basketball, what does it matter until the last 5 minutes of the game? So how do you watch basketball? I'll put on a basketball game, maybe like the late game if I have a sweat or something like that. So most of the time, I'm not even watching many of these sports. So whether or not NFL is back, it doesn't really matter to me, right? It only matters to me when it comes to, the first slate of the season, right? So a lot of times I don't even know what player on what team until like a week before, right? I haven't gotten to that point yet. I see people doing those best ball drafts on Twitter and everything like that. Oh, I got this guy and that guy and that guy. And then, I didn't know he was on his team. It's like that happened 5 months ago. It's like, well, is there a DFS slate? Like, no. Then what does it matter to me? And especially, if I'm gonna use RotoGrinders projections or Cardi's Blitz projections, it's gonna do all the work for me anyway. Right? Once I convert player names into numbers, it's like, well, what does it matter what the names are? Who cares? Let me just organize these numbers better than others, and with my intellectual brilliance, right, and my smarts, right, game theory advantage, to be profitable at a game. I like playing games, right? So once the NFL season comes around, I'll be like, now I'll figure out what players on what team. MJC asked, Blender, will you do something similar to your stupid Saturdays for NFL? No, I didn't do stupid Saturdays last year either, right? There's just so much. I do so much, right? I do this. I will be doing this show every day, Monday through Friday. We will be talking about NFL most of the days, right? Fridays we'll still have for MMA, right? Mondays we'll still have Mondays with McCool, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays probably still be talking about NFL. So you can still ask whatever stupid questions you could ask. You could ask then. Then I'm probably doing a premium show. I'm probably going to be on a showdown show. I'm going to still be doing the Theory of DFS podcast. I think I'm doing like a late sweat show with Dean on Sunday afternoon. So like how much ask these stupid questions whenever you want. Right? Because a lot of times, like last year, one of the main reasons I didn't do stupid Saturdays is because I would do that after I built my lineup. So like a lot of times for my multi-entry builds, I do that, the base work of that, like Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening around, once like the final kind of, let's see the injury report on Saturday afternoon. And then it's like, okay, let me take 2 or 3 hours. Let me really hold down. And a lot of times I'm building more than 150 lineups. Build all of that. And once I'm done, it's like, okay, now I can go on the stream. Now I'm done with my work of building lineups. I may adjust some stuff Sunday morning. And then now I can talk about it. Now people can ask, like, what did you do? It's like, oh, this is what I did. But I converted to building lineups primarily on Sunday morning now. So I'm not doing that on Saturday afternoons. Because why did I do that? Two, like I made my 2 reasons. One, I made my process a lot more efficient, that I could wake up on Sunday morning, about 3 hours before the slate, 10 a.m. Eastern. And I could do all that. I could listen to the RotoGrinders shows in the morning. We'll have a bunch of them. And I could build my lineups. Right? No problem there. And then also Saturdays became MMA, UFC day. Right? So UFC a lot of times is on, 6 o'clock at night to like midnight or whatever. And I'm playing MMA. Right? I play soccer in the morning, typically on Saturdays. And then that transitions into MMA, and I enjoy watching the MMA, so I'm not going to be doing the stream. So there you go. There's the reason. Seems pretty reasonable. Seems pretty reasonable to me. I'm on all the time. I'm all on the time. I think I started doing Stupid Saturdays before I was doing this DFS pregame show. I think I was still on RotoGrinders shows, so I'd still be on the Showdown shows, and I would do the Advanced Analytics show, and occasionally be on Grinders Live or whatever. But that was before this pregame show that I do 11 o'clock in the morning, like every Monday through Friday. Okay, so then, now here's a place where you could ask me questions and talk about things. And a lot of times, since it's on my own stream, I don't have to adhere to any sense of standards or practices. Not saying that RG has standards or practices, but I do have to realize that I'm being on the RotoGrinders channel and on the platform, I am in some way representing their brand. So it's not just me. So I can't just curse and moan and yell at people and do stuff like that. I have to be a little bit nicer. That's what I try to be. I try to help where I can. Okay? I'm not purposely being an asshole. I'm actually trying to help. And if sometimes help is me telling you like you're stupid, then that's the truth. I'm always going to tell you the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. Right? And also, I'm going to try to give an actual answer, not just make up an answer. What do you think of this? Like, what am I supposed to think of this? That is the response. There's no do you play X or do you play Y? That doesn't exist in proper DFS strategy. So other than looking at the projections, like, dude, you make the decision. It depends on the lineup and the contest that you're playing and everything else. Should you play this guy or that guy? Well, I could read the projections to you. I could read the ownership to you. Now use that information in whatever way you want to. I don't know what you're doing, right? So do that. So that's the thing is that's the real answer. That's the real answer. I'm gonna give you the real answer. MJ says you're a good dude. Okay, at least one person thinks that. Give me those thumbs if you think I'm a good dude. Hit that thumbs up button. Injustice 360 asks, feel free to type in your questions. This is only going to go as long as you ask questions in the YouTube chat. Remember, Fridays are typically for MMA, and since there's no MMA slate, I got nothing for you. I got nothing for you, so it's up to you. This is your chance. This is your big chance, YouTube chat. Injustice 360 says, will DK or FD have Millie Maker slates for the World Cup? No, Millie Maker? No, not even close. FanDuel, who knows what they're going to have? They can't even, they still have the, the variable stuff in their contest names. Pool size to first, they've given up, right? I don't know how many resources they're putting into DFS anymore. Draftkings, on the other hand, okay, but they're not Millie. I think maybe the large field contest for the opening World Cup slate may be 50,000 a first, maybe 100,000 a first. It's going to be tough since it's during NFL season, right? Because it's not happening over summer. It's happening during the winter because the World Cup's in Qatar, and it's going to end during the summer. It's like 120 degrees there, so the World Cup is going to be from mid-November to mid-December. That's right smack during NFL season, Thanksgiving, that type of stuff. And because of the time zone difference, like the first game of the day is going to start at like 7 in the morning, Eastern, 7 Eastern. And even and a lot of times the games aren't on at the same time unless it's the last group stage game. So you're gonna get something like a game at 7, a game at 10. And these are Eastern times. A game at 7, a game at 10, and a game at 1. All split apart. Obviously you don't get the starting lineups until an hour before kickoff. So it's like, what do those slates look like? Do you have to get up for a 7 o'clock lock, 6 o'clock in the morning just to get the head start on the starting lineups? Like how much participation is there going to be? There's going to be more, sure. Yes, it's the World Cup. I get it, but how much more? Especially when the slates will look like that. So I think the showdown slates may be popular. I could see them doing that. I could see DraftKings running a smaller classic slate, but then going much harder on the showdowns. So I think the showdown soccer is going to be good. I'm gonna like the last group stage game because that's when the entire group has to play at the same time, just so that no one has an advantage of knowing the result over the other result of the other game. So you'll get at least 2 games at the same time. So you may get like 10 o'clock a.m. there's 2 games, and then at 1 p.m. there's 2 games. So you can have a nice 4-game slate, even though you still have that gap where you're not sure about the starting lineups. But at least a 4-game slate over that time frame may be a little bit easier for casual players. Let's see. Nico Joy, do you think soccer cash lobbies are too sharp? Yes. They're not, they're not too sharp for me, right? But they're too sharp in general. You have to be really good. In soccer DFS, if you're going to play cash games, maybe at the lower stakes. I can't play anything under $5. So I don't know what it looks like at the $1 and the $3 level. But at the $5 and up level, dude, I'm not sure anyone has an edge over the rake. I'm not even sure. Right? I post my head-to-heads. You can take my head-to-heads now up to $215 if you want. Right? A lot of times they don't sell. They're there for the random schmucks to take. Right? Every once in a while, yeah, I'll play against somewhat sharper players, but most of the time they go unsold, or they get randomly taken or something like that. No, soccer cash games are very sharp because you're dealing with specialists, which I used to be a soccer specialist. Right? I played soccer DFS exclusively for a year and a half, and I've been playing regularly, for 7 years? Especially those formats, right? The cash formats, the small field GPP type of formats. That's what I do in soccer. So yeah, very, very, very sharp. So at the lower stakes, I'm not sure though, right? I can't see them. I can't see it, so I don't know. James Aguirre asks, "Hey Jordan, do you think finishing dead last in a contest is as impressive as winning it?" No, because you could just not enter a lineup. I could easily finish dead last tonight in MLB. I'll just play all minor leaguers in my lineup. They got right. They still got minor leaguer and I can play relief pitchers. I can play injured starting pitchers. Coming in last isn't that hard? It's pretty difficult to it. If you were intentionally coming in, it's very easy. I could beat you in low ball as long as there's no requirement on playing players that are actually going to play. Getting a 0 is quite easy. Chris Clark asks, who's in a better position at wide receiver after losing their number one? I have no idea. Why you ask me football questions? I have no idea. What does it matter? What does it matter? How does that help me win a daily fantasy sports? How will that help me on the first NFL slate? I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't matter to me. You have to understand. I play DFS as a game, right? To me, this is the same thing as playing Settlers of Catan, or if you're playing the out of the park baseball, right? The simulation game, or Football Manager, right? Or anything, or board game, anything you want. You're playing Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, whatever. It's to me, I view DFS the same exact way. To me, the players are just the pieces, just the things that we play with. And once you get attached numbers to them, what does it matter to me? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me. Who does well this season? Who cares? I hope I do well. I hope I personally do well. I hope I profit a lot of money, right? That's what I care about. Wetsy17, can you go over tomorrow's soccer slate the same way you would do with an MMA on Fighting Fridays, however brief? Well, obviously soccer is not necessarily based around, lineup combinations. It's a lot of times in MMA because it's, a select player pool. We're not dealing with who do you think is going to win fights. It's a matter of how do I build more unique lineups than the rest of the field. So going over the soccer slate is more, more strategic. I would suggest signing up for RotoGrinders Premium. We have soccer projections. So you get our soccer projections, and they're, Fear My Turtle, Alex Harden, and Sean Newsham. They do our soccer stuff. They have tags in there. They have everything. So just use our soccer projections. And yeah, so sign up RotoGrinders, get $10 off your first month. Click on that link in the description. That's what I would suggest. That as a starting point, at least. Oh, let's see. Uncrabby Cabby. Hey Jordan, is a lineup sorter going to be part of your new tools? If so, how many you'll be able to sort through? So yes, what we're calling the portfolio trimmer is essentially a lineup sorter. So you'll be. I showed it off earlier this week, and I'll show it off next week as well. When they officially come out, is that you'll be able to basically you input your projections, right, or wherever you could. RotoGrinders projections, you export and you cut and paste the projections into the Excel file, right, and then you cut and paste whatever number of lineups. And I've tested it with 500 or 600, right? You probably do more. You could do as many as you want. It's just a matter of how long it will take in Excel. You could probably input 50,000 lineups, but you're probably going to be waiting around for a minute or two for it to calculate everything in 50,000 lineups. But even on just a 300 build, like I've done a 300 build in lineup HQ and cut it and pasted it in, and it within what a second, half a second, it goes quick. You put it in, and then it goes, and then everything, all the information about each lineup shows. So you'd be able to sort through all that. So you could put in 300 lineups, right? And it'll show you the total median projection of each lineup, the floor projection of each lineup, the ceiling projection of each lineup, and the total ownership of each lineup. And it'll even be color coded. So, right, the green ones are the highest, the red ones are the lowest, kind of a scale like that. And then you could sort by anything. You could sort by, salary. It'll show you the salary of the lineup. It'll show you the information about the lineups. And then you could sort and select in any way that you want. I want to eliminate lineups that have a salary less than 40,000. Okay, you could do that. I want to see the top lineups based on this. You could do that. I want to eliminate the ones that have lower than an 80-point projection. You could do that. You could trim based on that. Or you could trim based on the proportion of total projection, median projection, to total ownership. So very similarly to what we do, in lineup HQ, of eliminating the lineups that are lower projected but higher owned than the lineup above it. So I've shown doing that in lineup HQ manually. But imagine doing that for more than 20 lineups. Imagine doing that for 300 lineups. You could do it manually. It'll take you 5 or 6 minutes, right, to go and scroll. This lineup, okay, this lineup doesn't beat that lineup. This lineup doesn't beat line X, delete. You could do that. But imagine building multiple 300 lineup sets and go, I want to try these types of lineups, or that types of lineups, or these types of constructions. Maybe you put together 1,500 lineups. Well, you'll be able to just cut and paste each of them, right? Put them in, 300, and then the next 300, and then in one long list, and then sort all of them. And then if you want, out of the 1,500, just say, I just want to trim out the ones that are lower projected and higher owned. So maybe that 1,500 lineups that you make of different constructions comes all the way down to like 38 lineups, right? That all where when the projection is higher, the next best lineup in projection is lower owned also. And then you can see the difference between the lineups of like how much projection you're losing versus how much ownership you're losing. And then just cut out the ones in the middle if you want. And then you could see out of the 1,500 lineups, you're down to 38 lineups, and it may have different constructions because you did 300 lineups with this construction, 300 lineups with that construction. Like you did 5-man stacks, 4-man stacks, 4-3, 4-1-1-1 lineups, 3-3-2 lineups. And then you see out of the 38 lineups, maybe you have, maybe 20 of them are 5-3s. Maybe 8 of them are 5Xs. Maybe 2 of them are 4-3s. Maybe so you don't just have to build one type of lineup in lineup HQ and then go with that. You could have multiple types of lineups and then be able to sort and trim them from there. Then once you have those lineups, then you cut and paste and you put them in your Draftkings file. And you go there's the lineups that I want. Actually, what you would do after that, more useful, is take those lineups. Let's say you're down to 38 lineups. And then you take the 38 lineups and put it into our portfolio correlation matrix. Okay? Sounds fancy, but it's not that fancy. You cut and paste those lineups, and it doesn't matter the projection or anything like that. All it's going to do is show you how correlated one player is to another player in the same lineup. So out of the 38 lineups, maybe on this slate, you have Garrett Cole, and they'll say, out of 38 lineups, you have Garrett Cole in 36 lineups. And out of those 36 lineups, 18 of them have Mike Minor in it, right? So the correlation between Garrett Cole and Mike Minor is 0.5, right? Half your Cole lineups have Minor. So you could even check to see. It's like if I do all this trimming, like kind of what do my exposures look like, and what players are more correlated or paired or correspondent to other players. And maybe out of the 38 maybe you're just looking to play 20 out of the lineups anyway. You're playing a 20 max. And you go through and you go, oh, okay, out of all these lineups, like 3 of these lineups look almost exactly the same. They're just like a 1v1, right? And you go, do I have to play all 3? No. Okay, I'm going to eliminate these other 2. But you wouldn't know that without looking at the portfolio correlation matrix and go, yeah, I have too many lineups that have Cole and Minor together. Actually, I have lineups that have Cole, Minor, and this stack together. And I go, okay, let me eliminate 2 of them. Okay, which ones should I eliminate? Well, maybe you eliminate the ones that have the lower ceiling at that point. And you go, okay, clip. Now you're down to 36 lineups. And you can do all of that. You can do all that in Excel. And once you're done with that, then there you go. Got to paste those lineups into your DraftKings entry CSV, and you're good up to the races. And then once they're in your DraftKings entry CSV, you could actually go back and go into the RotoGrinders entries manager and put them back in lineup HQ, right? And then maybe once they're in lineup HQ, then you decide to manually change something, or maybe run differently. Maybe you add lineups. Maybe you could do that. So you have Excel open, you have lineup HQ open, and it gets a lot more efficient, a lot more precise. So you won't be stuck in situations where you're using the lineup builder improperly and getting a lot of clumping, right? Or you're setting exposures without realizing that you have so many of the same players in similar lineups, or not realizing how less diverse or more diverse you are. So these tools will help you with that, and then cut out the lineups that you don't want, right? That you just simply don't want, in a much easier manner, in bulk, that you could use with more than 300 lineups. So that's what I said. 3,000 line. You want to do it with 3,000 lineups? Go be my guest. Right? You can't even do that in a lineup HQ. I mean, technically, it's possible to do. If we allowed you to do it, we could. But if we allow people to build 15,000 lineups at once, then that half an hour before lock, the site's going to be very slow, because we have thousands of users at RotoGrinders using the same tool. So while 150 is the max, we figure 300 is useful enough, and typically it is. Okay, typically you're not building 15,000 lineups. Okay, 300 is good enough, but you could use this and go, let me build several 300 sets, and then cut and paste them into Excel and then work with them there. Let's see. Travis Selby, can you export FanDuel CSV results? Well, yeah, of your own entries, sure, but not of the contests. FanDuel doesn't offer contest CSVs, which is insane. It's 2022 and they don't. But of course, they can't even title their contests correctly. So who knows if that'll ever happen? That'll probably never happen. MJC, do you typically like the strategy of including a bring back in most of your NFL stacks? Here's a stupid Saturday question. There's no correct answer to that. It depends on the lineup. Okay? How does that affect? That's a correlation question. How much is the correlation worth? And how much sacrifice and projection and leverage and anything else do you have to give in order to get that? That's what matters. Okay? It's not simply a bring back. Quarterback and 2 wide receivers and then the opposing wide receiver. The opposing wide receiver is correlated. Not an R of 1. An R of what? Could be 0.15, 0.23. Correlated, but not like absurdly correlated. That you get maybe an extra point boost, an extra point or 2, right? Something like that. Okay? But if let's say your bring back for whatever price, their median projection is 10. And for the same price, you could put in a one-off wide receiver that has a median projection of 28. Like, I'm just making a very extreme example, just so you get the point. Which player would you rather have? I'd rather have the 28-point projected player, right? I'd rather have the extra 18 median projected points than having the 0.2 R correlation of the opposing wide receiver. Is it worth 18 points in median projection? Probably not. Now, let's say instead of 28, the other player's median was 10.5. Yet the bring back, the median projection was 10. Is that half a point worth the correlation? Yeah, probably. In that lineup, sure. Okay, I get it. It's probably worth more than half a point. So if I had to choose between having that bring back or that player in that lineup, I'd use the bring back. So it's not blindly just building lineups that are like, oh, every lineup must have a wide receiver. It's like, well, if you're playing a low projected team, let's say you're building a stack, a low owned whatever Lions stack or something like that, that is from a point per dollar perspective pretty poor projection wise. Like, oh, but I'm going to have a bring back. It's like, well, now you're lowering your projection even more, right? Maybe it's worth it in those lineups to raise your projection, especially since you're already playing low owned players, probably in the main stack. So you may not even need any extra leverage. So the ownership's not even going to matter. And you go, okay, once I have this quarterback and 2 wide receivers, do I further lower my projection to include a bring back wide receiver, or do I just play the best plays? Right? Let's say you plug in the best plays, and your total lineup projection is 140. And if you don't play the best plays in the rest of your lineup, and you have a bring back or something like that, your total projection is 122, 126, whatever. You have to determine whether or not the 14 points is worth that correlation. It probably isn't. I'm telling you that, right? That's why I made an extreme example. Probably isn't. So you could probably build better lineups than the ones that have a bring back in those scenarios. Yet in other scenarios, you could. That's how you play DFS. There's no correct answer. If I can answer a question with a yes or a no, or give you an exact number, then it's not a good question. Like, so always think of that. If you're going to go, okay, should I do blah, 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 blah? And if it's like, can someone answer the question with a yes or with a no or with an exact number? If that's the case, the actual answer to that question is it depends. Okay. Now, obviously, there are very extreme cases where I can answer yet. Should I play all injured players that in my line? Like, should I play all injured players that are never going to get any time on the field? Right? People that are suspended for the season. Should I do that in my lineup? Like, probably no. Right? But that no isn't 100% of the time. Right? There are probably situations in showdown contests where the only way to fit this certain combination of players is by playing this $200 player that's not playing. And even with their 0, that lineup ends up winning. So even then, that's not even like a hard yes. Probably you don't play the entire lineup full of injured players, okay? That's probably. But I mean, you never know. Maybe you're playing a format that rewards that. I don't know. But most of the time, yes, no, exact number type of things are always it depends. Jason Sneller says, last night I made a group with Schwarber and Nola at 1-2. So that means a min of 1 and a max of 2. So I would get at least one of them in all my lineups, but I kept getting a group at the bottom that had neither. Yeah, because you're not telling you're not telling the lineup builder said you want at least 1 or 2. Well, based on your player pool and the salary constraints and the positional constraints, can it even build those lineups? So maybe you're forcing something else in that's conflicting with that. You can't say like I want Schwarber like Schwarber was expensive, right? 6K yesterday, and Nola was like 10.8. If you're like, well, I also want 90% exposure to these 17 other expensive players. Well, then how the hell is it ever going to fit either Schwarber or Nola into those lineups? You can't get 90% because you run out of salary. Or it's a position thing, right? That's the typical issue there. That you're putting in some other conflicting setting that it gets to build all the lineups it possibly can with either Schwarber or Nola or both, and then it fails. And then it's just like, I can't do this anymore with these other instructions that you've given me. So either I stop building lineups, right? This is what it's thinking, if it could think. Like, you want me to build 100 lineups, but based on your thing, I'm getting to like the 80th lineup and I can't do it anymore. The only way for me to not do this anymore is to not include Schwarber and Nola in a lineup. And then I could continue. And that's pretty much what it's doing. I'm assuming. I don't know the exact thing. There are a lot of settings. There are a lot of things you could do with a lineup builder like Lineup HQ. So unless I saw the actual usage, it's almost always Almost always. When you get into situations like that, it is 99.9% of the time user error. Okay? Just to let you know. You forgot something, you have a conflicting thing, you have said something you're doing that's causing it. It's extremely rare for it to be, the back end of the lineup builder is screwing up. Sometimes that does happen. Sometimes there are glitches, right? Sometimes the projections don't come in. Sometimes a parsing error, which causes like one of the players to have like 186 point ceiling. And now you're using true range randomness, and you don't know why you're like, why am I getting 7,000,000% of this guy? Even though his median projection is low, for some odd reason, his ceiling projection is it's just like a parsing error in the projection, right? Something happens like that. That's actually a data error, not a functional error of the software. So looking into that, why is that happening? But typically, those types of things happening. If you say you want 40% of this guy and 20% of that guy, and you want to do that, and you want 3 unique players and this like that, at some point, these things are going to be very conflicting. It's going to get to a certain point. It's like, I cannot give you 20% of this player with these other build rules. I can give you 12, right? I can build up to those amount of lineups, but I can't go any further because you want things that are impossible mathematically. Scorpion McScorp says, on what day did you preview the sorting tool? Probably Monday or Tuesday, I think. The beta version of it, the beta. James is working on the final versions. So I've just been showing off kind of like the beta first draft. Maybe not the first draft, but like the second draft type of stuff. Because I've been testing it, right? Because essentially I'm testing and going, I think we need to include this. Or I think this needs to be clearer. I think this needs to be moved there and that needs to be moved here. Or we need to add this button there or something like that. That's what I'm doing. And then James is fixing all of that and putting everything together. So it's much more clear and consistent and easy and simple to use. It should be as simple to use as just cutting and paste your projections, cutting and paste your lineups, and then everything else could be done, by use of a button. By clear this, run that, select this, sort that, and you could. So you don't need to have you could have barely ever used Excel and still be like, okay, I could do this. Because we can make this in ways that if you are more experienced in Excel, are a little bit more streamlined. Like we can put all the tools in one Excel file and then just have it all be tabs and have it all interact with one another. But that can get confusing if you're not used to dealing with Excel, you'd be clicking around going, I don't know what is what. So we've kind of separated everything. So if you want to take a look at that, you could do so these past couple of days on the DFS pregame show. And if you want to ask any more questions, obviously you could show up any day to this show. I'm always here. You could join our RotoGrinders Discord. Tonight, I will be doing a short coaching session via Zoom. If you're a member of that channel, so sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. Click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month, and feel free to go and get if you haven't already. It's been out for a little over 2 years. Get the Fundamentals Masterclass, the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. 15 hours of audio. How to think like a professional DFS player. The concepts, how to have that mindset, right? What do these things mean? That's why someone asking before about the wide receiver position for the Chiefs or the Packers. No, that's not how you play DFS, right? That may be factored in some type of projection model or something like that, but that in and of itself doesn't do you any good. If you knew that information, you probably still wouldn't be profitable in DFS. Learn how to play the game of DFS. So go to theoryofdfs.com, pick that up before the advanced course comes out. Should be on Monday. I'm not promising Monday, but it'll be Monday or Tuesday. I'm finishing up. I have a bunch of recording to do, which I will be doing today and over the weekend. And we'll be ironing out the tools and coming out with that on Monday. And be aware if you have purchased the first course, right? How to think like a professional DFS player, the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. You will for a short period of time you will get a discount on the advanced course, and that discount code that the way to do that will arrive in your email. So if you signed up whatever email you signed up with for the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, the first course, you should get it Monday or Tuesday, whenever it comes out. You will get an email with a promo code with a fairly significant discount, but it's only available for a short time. Can't leave that up forever, because then people just, oh, here's the code, and people that have never purchased the first course just share it, and next thing you know, people are not valuing the product. I rarely do discounts. Rarely. So it's not the type of thing. So don't treat it like the type of thing where it's like, oh, if I don't buy now, every month there'll be some like, oh, it's the fall it's the Halloween discount. Oh, it's NFL playoff discount. Like, I don't do that. Right. Every once in a while, and sometimes it's just a very small discount, but it's either worth it or it's not. Right. What's going to matter? Like the Theory of Daily Fantasy, but this first course is $125. If it was $115, does that make it better? No. So it's like, I'm not going to pay for it unless I can get $10 off. Well, I don't blame you for one. I mean, why wouldn't you? If you're like, oh, if I could get $10 off, why? Of course, yeah, clip a coupon. No problem. I get it. But the difference between 115 and 125, what does it matter? I think it's worth this. Many people say it's worth double, triple this. So that's how I know. That's how I know I'm doing well. Right? So what's the point of discounting it? To say, oh no, today it's half off. Well, how about all the other people? How about all the other people beforehand that bought it for full price? What do they think? Oh my God, I'm gonna get no, I'm not gonna do that. So if you want it, you get it. If you think it's too expensive, then don't get it. There you go. I have no problem. I'm not gonna cry any tears for that. With the new course with the tools. Remember, you're getting these Excel tools that if you've never used Excel or you're not good at Excel, good luck making yourself, because it's stuff I can't even do myself. Right? And I'm not that bad in Excel. I have basic stuff in Excel. The stuff James could do, I can't do that. I can't do the stuff he does. So that in and of itself, to me, is worth like 3 times the amount. Like I'd probably pay James. Like the reason why these tools are being made are kind of like, these are the tools that I want. Right? I can't do this well. So can you please make it for me? I'd probably, if James were to make them just for me, I'd probably pay him $1,000. Easily. Probably more. For just these tools. Okay? And you're going to get that for significantly much more less than that. So like, to me, like, price is an issue. If you're looking for discounts, you're looking for handouts, you're not going to get any. But I understand. I have loyalty. I have loyalty to the people that have supported me by purchasing the first course. Right? It doesn't go to a big corporate entity or anything like that. This all goes to me and James. So even if you just thought, oh, I've been listening and watching this stuff for 2, 3, 4 years, and here's a way of me saying thank you. Like, hey, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Right? This allows me to continue to do this type of content. Right? Because I don't need to have a regular. I don't need to teach special ed like Mr. Richard. Right? I get to do this throughout the day because of this recurring income. So I appreciate it. So I want to say thank you, or at least for a short time. I want to say thank you for a short time by giving you that discount. So look in your email. If you purchase this first course, look in your email, look in your spam folder, and just in case. I don't send many emails, right? I don't just bombard marketing messages, right? If you're on the customer list or whatever, but you'll get that discount. You'll get an announcement. Oh, it's up, it's released, and then you'll get another mail that's like, hey, dude. Hey, how you doing? And he's like, hey, here's this discount code. You're going to get $45 off. So here, you're going to get $45 off. Use this, but you got to use it within the next week. Right? And there you go. So you'll get that. Okay. So hit those thummy thumbs on your way out the door. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Right? We got a baseball slate coming up today. It's a pretty big one, right? Oh, no, very big one. Whoa, geez. Okay. I think it's all 15 games, maybe. Okay. MLB tonight. They'll be covering that later today, 5 o'clock Eastern on Grinders Live, then followed by Crunch Time, leading you right up until lock. There's got to be weather going on today, right? There's got to be weather stuff. Let's take a look. So many games. Let's see how much Roth has to do. Oh, not much. Boston. I think Boston may be the only one. Okay, Roth is going to have an easy time with so many games. Okay, so tune in for that later in the day. And then I'll be back Monday. James will be back Monday. And hopefully, when we come back Monday at 11 o'clock in the morning, the advanced course will be out, and we could go through some of the tools, talk to James on how he developed some of them, and go from there. And then I'll be gone a little bit next week, right? I'll be going up to Chicago, and then we'll be back, and it'll just be NFL all the time. It's going to be so much NFL, it's going to make you want to vomit. It's going to at least make me want to vomit, because at some point you're like, can we stop talking about NFL? Like you analyze it to the point of stupidity that then you start galaxy braining. It's like, well, if you're thinking of that and then you're thinking of this, and then your brain explodes. So, but I'll be there with all your NFL needs. Tons of shows coming up. So subscribe to the channel, subscribe to RotoGrinders, and I'll see you back next week answering your DFS strategy questions like I always do on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.